So let me go through who I am. Who the hell is this dude standing up here yammering on? All right, so let's see, where do I start that? For 23 years, I took 5 psychotropic drugs a day to cure me of my ADD, bipolar disorder, chronic fatigue syndrome, and what was it, one more? ADD, bipolar, chronic fatigue, depression.
It's the big D.
Yeah, the most important one, that's how it all started, was depression. For 23 years. At the time I started my path, at the time I started my journey, that was half my life I'd spent on psychotropic medication. So what happened was that my father got very sick very fast. My father had never been ill a day in his life. He was a big strapping man, police officer, never in the hospital, never sick. And then boom, it hit him. You know, we thought he had the flu. He goes in the hospital, he's got heart failure, he needs 5 bypasses, he has an aortic aneurysm, everything is failing on the body, everything. And so, to make a real long story short here, my father's medical treatment, the longer he was in a hospital, the less care he got, the less attention was paid to him, and the less priority was given to his health. And I had to intervene. So I ended up firing some doctors in the first hospital and moving him to another hospital. There he got better care. They did a lot of the stuff that we need to do. They did 5 bypasses, and so anyway, again, to make a long story short, I ended up having to move him again to the Cleveland Clinic. Throughout my father's situation, I had to fire 27 different doctors, which for me was a huge deal, because I thought doctors were gods. I thought they knew everything. I thought that if it came out of their mouth, that was reality. And that was the answer. During this time though, what I found was, is that different doctors in different hospitals offered different solutions to the same problem. One wanted to put a stent in for his aneurysm. Another one said, that doesn't work because the aneurysm is bigger at the top than it is at the bottom and the stent will not hold. And in the Cleveland Clinic, what they did is they cut out his aorta and replaced it with a plastic tube. And at the Cleveland Clinic, they also said, if you brought your dad here in the beginning, instead of going through 6 months of being in the hospital, we could have done this surgery, the heart, 5 bypasses, clamped an aneurysm on the backside of the heart, and replaced the aorta in one surgery. What? So I got radically different care, radically different advice, radically different everything from people who supposedly had the same kind of education. Okay? That raised a red flag to me. So when I got done with my father's situation, and we eventually brought him back, and I'd been told on 3 different occasions, this is it, he's dead. When I brought him back, he stayed in rehab for a few months, and then eventually walked out and went home. Okay? And it's because I intervened. I jumped in, and I changed the course of what was happening in his life. What that did, though, is a wake-up call for me, because I looked at the medical profession, I looked at the 5 drugs that I was on every day, and I said, they got his situation terribly, horribly wrong. Is 23 years of taking these 5 drugs a day really serving me? And does my doctor really know what's going on? And I began to question the whole profession. So what I did is I set the intention to find an alternative. And so if somebody mentioned to me, hey, I went and tried this Reiki practitioner. I was on the phone. I went and tried Reiki. And somebody said, hey, I did acupuncture. Boom, I was on the phone. I got in with an acupuncturist. So again, what happened is I ended up in a pattern for about 3 years where I saw a Reiki practitioner on a Monday. I saw an acupuncturist on a Tuesday. I saw a hypnotherapist on a Wednesday. I saw a homeopathic physician on a Thursday. And I took Friday off. But I used alternative practitioners to break me free of the depression, of the ADD, of the bipolar disorder, or the chronic fatigue syndrome, and to get off all the medication. Yeah.
Did you have a problem getting off the meds?
Oh, it's
Because,
horrific.
I mean, they cause brain freezes and a lot of other things that nobody ever tells you about.
Yep.
So were the alternative modalities helpful in getting you?
That's why the homeopathic physician, yeah, she was incredibly good with that. Yeah, I'd be walking down as I was coming off the medicine, she managed that. And I'd be walking down the hall at work, and all of a sudden, just bam, I hit a wall. I think I'm walking a straight line, and boom, I just lost control of everything. It was horrific. It was worse than like opium or any kind of other drug, because your brain is really messed up. That's the thing about antidepressants and psychotropic drugs. They do not fix anything. You're not suffering from a Prozac deficiency. You're not suffering from a Wellbutrin deficiency. But what they do is they mix stuff up, and your brain is trying to come back in a new state of normal. And so you're not worried about the depression right now because you're trying to survive. Eventually it finds that balance, and then, oh, the depression's still here. You didn't fix shit. So, yeah, the withdrawal was horrific. Had tingling all over my hands. And, I went through months of that stuff. So, what I did is I eventually got off of all 5 drugs. And then what happened was a repressed memory came up. Now this is a real thrill. So I had this flash, I'm in the shower one day, and I just had this flash of this man. And I didn't think anything about it. I get in my car, I have another flash. And then I have multiple flashes on the way to work. And then I get to work, and I'm actually going about my job. Now, all right, so I want to tell you, you think God doesn't have a sense of humor? All right? I'm on 5 psychotropic drugs a day, trying to break free of this whole system. Meanwhile, I am working for the world's largest pharmaceutical distributor. Ta-da.
Irony.
So God's got a sense of humor. Because here they are, their dollars are paying for my recovery. We're using alternative methods. Yay! A little bit of karma too. Anyway, I get to work, and then I have a full-blown total recall of being sexually molested as a child. Voila, there it is. There's the root of the root of the root of my depression. There's what jacked me up, and I didn't even know I was jacked up. It was a neighbor. I knew who it was. I knew where it was. I knew what happened, the whole 9 yards. I had total recall of the whole incident. My body collapsed. I was a puddle on my office floor. And the paramedics were called, and they said, "You want to go to the hospital?" No. I know what this is. I was warned. All these different practitioners had kind of set me up and prepared me for that. So I knew what it was when it showed up. So that's the root of the root. Okay. So then I end up, because I had spent 3 years, I spent a lot of time out of the office. I spent a lot of time with my dad. I ended up getting fired. So they call me in one day and they're terminating me. And I'm sitting there with this grin on my face. And all I hear is, "Now it's time to write a book," as they're firing me. And I'm just smiling, and the guy goes, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm good. I took my severance package, cashed out my 401k. I had a year to write a book, which I did. I hammered it out. It got published. I toured the country talking about it, thinking I would help people do what I did. And it became apparent. And people got benefit. They would come up and they said, "I read your book. I loved your book. Your book changed my life. Oh my God, I think I could do this." But nobody really did it the way I did it because it was too expensive. 4 practitioners a week. That's expensive. And for 3 years. And it took a lot of determination, a lot of grit to get that done. So I still want to help people. So I asked the creator, I said, "All right, if you want me to be of service, you need to show me a way to do what I did, faster, smarter, quicker, cheaper, more effective." And 2 days later, I get a call from a friend of mine who's a psychotherapist. Again, God's got a sense of humor. He says, this dude's coming into town. His name is Fred Payne, and he's going to give you a free talk on energy medicine. I'm there. Okay, you don't have to hit me upside the head. That's the universe answering my prayer. So I go and listen to this good old country boy from Kentucky named Fred Payne, and he's telling me everything is energy. Energy is impressed upon matter, and you are matter. And I'm sitting there, and for 3 hours, he just rambles on, a lot like I'm doing right now. But he was probably entertaining. I mean, not me. But he just rambled on, and I'm sitting there going, I remember this. He's not teaching me anything. I know this. This makes sense. Now, my education and professional background is computer science. And it would boggle your mind if you could see the world from my view. Computers and the universe are like that. They work very similarly. There's a lot of similarities in the way they function, and the way things get processed, and the way information moves, and the way you can manipulate things. Okay, so Fred comes in and tells me all these things. I sign up for I go immediately into the public workshops. Oh, there's one more piece. This is what sold me. There was a young lady in the back of the room who is an apprentice, and I never opened my mouth during the whole evening. I didn't say my name. I didn't say my circumstances. I didn't say anything about any conditions I had. I kept completely quiet. She comes up to me at the end of the night and she says, you have antidepressants in your field. I said, oh, yeah, probably. Now, I've been off the drugs for a while, over a year, but they still registered in the field. The vibration of an antidepressant, of a psychotropic drug, was still in my body-mind-field complex. And she said, would you like me to clear those for you? I said, yeah, okay, go ahead. So she just stood there, put her hand over my heart chakra, and pumped some codes and frequencies into my field. And I just walked away and I said, thank you very much. About a month later, I go to my chiropractor. I'm laying on his table. And he comes in, he walks up to me, and he touches me and steps back like this. I said, what's wrong? He says, dude, you are off-gassing antidepressants like crazy. I can't even be in this room right now. I said, good. That sold me right there. It's like totally independent confirmation from one party, totally verification from another party. This shit works. So I immediately called up Fred. I said, dude, I want in. I want into your training. Now, I went into this training for me. I need help. I had all this abuse, I had all this shock, all this panic, all this trauma. I wanted to fix myself. And nobody else was able to get to it. Nobody was able to get to the root of it. Nobody was able to figure out what was really going on in my field. And so I was going into training for me. Okay. We'll continue that story. We're going to take a break right now because it is super hot in here. Everybody's cooking. We all need to breathe.
It's cool right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
take
gonna say
It's not the room.
it's the energy.
It's
This energy moves. It'll go, you'll get cold. When we were down the Smokies, it's funny to watch us walk in the door because we'll have blankets, sleeping bags, sweaters, and it's 85 degrees out. And it's because the temperature swing in that room, we'll do a clearing and it'll get ice cold, and we'll do a clearing and it'll get super hot.